Happy Labor Day weekend. I hope you guys are out there staying safe and just enjoying and having a good time. Yeah, as best you can, even during this pandemic that we're still going through. But yeah, man, it's Labor Day. It's a long weekend. I hope that you find this episode very entertaining. It helps you on your Sunday. And I just want to take the time to give a quick shout out on this Labor Day weekend to our school teachers. I want to make sure that they're staying safe, that we're all staying safe, and that it's very important that we are taking care of our school teachers as well. Man, they do a lot for the kids out there, and shout out to my wifey who's also a school teacher. So I want to make sure that we point that out there. So shout out to them, shout out to you guys. And lastly, please follow me on A View to Film. Or on Instagram, A View to Film, very easy. And if you have any comments, suggestions, please shoot me a quick email as well at aviewtofilm@gmail.com. We want to keep expanding the show and hope you guys are just having a great time and enjoying the show. So let's get to it. Let's bring on my guest. I am Luis Agustin, and this is A View to Film. Welcome back. My next guest is somebody that I met at work, and she's been invited to my circle of friends for one reason only. She is a huge dog lover, has two boxers, one named Hudson, after my dog, she copied my name, and one named Theo. Please give it up for Miss Amanda Braun.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So did you take my recommendation? Are you drinking anything tonight?
Yes,
Getting ready for this?
I'm drinking some wine.
Sweet. What do you got today?
It's a red wine. Can't read anything on the label because it's not in English, but it
French, Italian?
Probably a combination. I'm not really sure. I got it in my wine box, so.
Oh, yeah, you have a subscription, right?
Yes, I do.
How much are those a month? Is it worth it?
It's definitely worth it. So what you do when you first sign up, you take a little quiz, tells you kind of what wines you want, what wines will be fitted for your palate. And then it ships you 4 bottles for $50-$60. If you want something more expensive, you throw it in your cart, and that's what ships out with your next shipment. I love it.
Great plug. So what movie are we going to talk about today?
We are talking about Mean Girls.
Nice.
One of my favorites.
Awesome. I actually, believe it or not, I really enjoyed it as well. And as soon as I put out a poll on Instagram, you were one of the first people to respond with Mean Girls. So I was so excited. I was like, hell yeah, let's talk about this. Of course.
Yeah, I have the attention span of a raisin, so I don't really watch many good movies, high quality movies.
No, don't say that. What's the last great film you've seen? I'm sure you've seen something good.
I'm more of a person. I watch docu-series and stuff.
Oh, okay. So. That's good. Why don't you just plug something? Well, what's the last good docuseries you've seen?
Honestly, the past couple of weeks, I've just been running through Forensic Files. Not really a docuseries, but very big on crime. So I watch a lot of crime shows. I listen to a lot of crime podcasts. So I could just about kill anybody and get away with it at this point.
And then you're a part-time expert on TikTok.
That's it.
Anyway, all right. Let's not go down that road. So, in your own words, what is this movie about? How would you describe the movie?
So it's about a girl that is from Africa. She and her family move to the States, and she's just thrown into public school with all the cliques. She was always homeschooled. She knows nothing about American culture. She knows nothing about how cliques work. And then she tries to balance life between her friends that are not necessarily popular. She tries to just kind of as a test, try and fit in with the mean girls, who are the popular girls that are not very nice. So she just tricks them to get into their group so she can go back to her not as popular friends to just gossip and make fun. Turns out she ends up liking them, being friends with them. Um, and then
Perfect. We'll leave it
that's about
right
it.
there. We'll leave it right there. Let's not get too much into it. But real quick before we continue to talk about it, I always like to say a spoiler warning, like if for anybody who hasn't seen this movie. So, the first thing I was going to ask you is, do you remember what it was like back in high school? I'm sure this came out like right when we were both in high school. Right? I think we're about the same age, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do remember when this came out, and fortunately, my high school career was not really like this. But I actually went to a Catholic school my first year of high school, which
Oh yeah, no
was
way.
completely different. I went there so I can play sports. They had better athletics, so on and so forth, and it was just like this.
Really? In what
Hmm.
way? What do you mean?
Just the
How did it
clicks,
translate?
the amount, the types of cliques that there were the goth kids and the popular girls and the jocks and the band geeks and all those stereotypical groups that you hear of in high school and that a lot of people experience. It was just like that. It was a bigger school than I was used to. I only graduated when I went back to public school in the same town I grew up in my whole life.
Oh, okay.
I only graduated with 70 kids. So this
Wow.
school was massive, hundreds of kids in each class. So I guess, bigger schools, I have a feeling, experience this a little bit more. The high school I went to, everybody had their own interests, but everybody was friends,
Okay.
which was nice. So, the jocks kind of blended into the theater kids, blended into the kids that were in robotics. It was more of a level playing field than it was in this movie and the school I started out in high school.
So wait. So what clique were you in back in high school?
Um, you know, I was maybe on the popular side. But even
Don't be modest.
my group of friends, we were on the popular end of the spectrum, but we were also, I played sports. I played three sports in high school. And
Right.
then we
So did I.
also, um, I was in student council. I was in Key Club. I was in all of these groups. So I kind of just, everybody made friends with everybody.
All right, that's cool. That's what's up. That's what's up. If I had to label myself, I would say just I was just part of the baseball clique. Like we had our own little like group, and like we just went up and down everywhere together. I would say like that's where I clung on to.
It's like I said, I went to a small school. So in a lot of bigger schools, everybody plays, you play one sport because that's what you're dedicated to. Everybody kind of
Right.
float over into different clubs. I was in French club for a little bit. Don't know a single word
Jeez.
of French.
I was,
It's like it's as if I had nothing better to do with my time. I was like, you know what? Let me join every single. I was in robotics once for some extra credit. Did
all
it all.
right, nice. Very diverse. Very diverse. I like that. That's what's up. So getting into the theme of the movie, I wrote down one theme. What do you think, if you had to generalize it, what do you think the main theme of this film is?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Are you going to tell me what your theme is?
Of course, yeah, I'd be happy to share. I wrote down, I don't know if you ever heard the term of groupthink. Like when a group of people get together, think collectively with one mind. That's kind of like the way what I saw the plastics as, that
Hmm.
they all get together, they think for what Regina wants, and then obviously the movie changes to what Katie wants. So it's kind of like that central beehive mind, because she keep calling herself a queen, right? Like
Yeah.
so they're all going towards one person, and that's the way I kind of saw the film. I don't know, if I'm going too deep or too in depth, but it's just kind
No.
of like, hey, I was just trying to bring that like that centralized theme on it.
No, that makes sense because I mean, even everybody in the movie, even the unpopular people, they still somehow just put her on a pedestal, swarmed around her. Everybody just,
Right.
she parted seas when she walked down the hallway. She had this, although she was so mean and so manipulative, she still somehow got everyone's attention and respect for some strange reason.
So, actually, that's a great transition into my first topic. I was going to talk about like Regina George's introduction, right? We're
Hmm.
seeing, she's introduced to us and she's carried by a group of men. I strongly believe like Katie visualized her like that. I don't think that really happened, but like that's something that you see normally from somebody who's like who you idolize, and that's how she was presented in the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she was kind of just like floating through the hallways with just all this attention, and one of those things too where people either loved her and just wanted to be her or just despised her because they weren't.
Right. Exactly. So we get introduced real quick. We meet Katie. We get the background, like you just said, that she came from Africa. She's a stranger in the high school scenario. And immediately, Janice and Damien accept her so quickly. Why do you think that is? Like, as soon as she walked in, like, why did they become friends with her so
I
fast?
mean, even in the movie, I think it's just they're good people. They are accepting people. Even until like the second the movie ended, you look at them and you're like, wow, even when I still watch the movie, I watch the movie monthly at this point. They just seem like good, genuine people.
Right.
They only have each other. They don't have any other friends. So I'm sure it was one of those things where it's like, let's take her under our wing, see what we could do with her. And then obviously it turned into that part where you were kind of using her to get into the plastics and sabotage them, which is the best part of the story.
All right. So then we see in the movie at the very beginning that the plastics accept her right away, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then why do you think that happened? Like we see both of these two cliques bring Katie immediately into their world.
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious they kind of just wanted her as a puppet. She was this new girl. She knew nothing. They were like, if we bring her into the clique, we can abuse her and, dress her how we want to dress her. It's like she was so they were able to mold her into whatever they wanted her to be. And I feel like that was kind of the game for them.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. So we see in the movie she's brought in, she's accepted. They start kind of coaching her and setting up all the rules. You saw that
Mm-hmm.
like we're like, hey, we wear pink on Wednesdays, and they start telling her exactly like what it is like in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you think there are too many rules in school like that are set by these cliques?
Oh, 1,000%. And I think that goes back into the part where they knew that they could manipulate her, where everyone knew that she was homeschooled in Africa. So when she came in, she didn't know what was right, what was wrong, what was normal, what wasn't. So they were like, you know what? We can take this girl and we can completely build whatever. She had no idea what was going on. She had no idea what high school was like. So they were like, we can do whatever we want and say whatever we want, and she'll think that this is normal. But I totally agree. There's way too many cliques in high school. There's way too many rules. I mean, like I said, I luckily didn't really experience this much only when I first started there. But even when I was in public school or Catholic school, it was the way everyone wore their hair and your headbands and your shoes.
Talk about that. Talk about that.
Well, I was going through an identity crisis when I was like shifting from middle school to high school. I wore Tim's with my Catholic school uniform, and it was
Hey, I like that.
it was not. They weren't even like the boots. They looked like more like bowling shoes. I had the tan ones, and then I had these like burgundy and gray suede ones. I thought I was cool. I would show up with my little J-Lo jacket with the jemmies on the zipper, and everybody was like, "Who is this girl?" And that was the first time.
Invite her over. You got the
Not even. No, it was the first time. Growing up, I had a lot of friends, and um, like I said, it wasn't as clicky. We knew everybody. It was a very, very small town. That was the first time in my life where I was like, whoa, cliques are real. And my mom wanted to kill me. She had to take me to the poor tailor 1,000 times because I wanted my skirt this short because that was cool. I needed the polos. I needed my popped collar with like 6 different polos, like layered.
Who was it that, because you have to have gotten shown that, right? Like, hey, you got to wear your skirt this size or something like that. Like,
Oh, yeah. I still feel like it was a shot to the ego to this day because I went in there thinking, I'm popular. I was the queen of 8th grade, got voted best hair, had some cute boyfriends. I also had cornrows at one point in time, which is embarrassing, but
oh yeah, you gotta send us a picture after
we'll
after
get to
the
that.
after the show.
On another day. But no, I just grew up being well known within my class, and I went there and I was like, oh my god, I'm not like these popular girls. They came from very wealthy families, and I think that has a lot to do with this whole plastic situation. But they came from very wealthy families, and they kind of set the rules. I remember a couple months into school, I was like, Mom, you spent all this money, you spent 100 and some bucks a pop on these Tims, but like you need to buy me Birkenstocks. Like I was shifting when I walked in there on day 1 and when I walked out of there on my last day of school. I did not look the same at all. I was wearing my hair differently. I was wearing different shoes. I was pairing my sweaters and like the colors I was wearing. It was like white, blue, and gray.
So you got Katie vibes.
Yeah, because I was like, I walked in there and the popular girls didn't pay attention to me. And I was like, wait, but I thought I was the popular girl. And it was one of those weird, it was like a shot to the ego. So it was weird. You're a freshman in high school. I mean, that was what feels like a million years ago.
Right,
And
right,
I
right.
just wanted that attention so bad because I was so used to just being friends with everybody, knowing everybody, and having everyone know who I was. And I mean, I don't mean for that to sound cocky, but like I said, coming from a small school, I walked in there and they didn't pay attention to me. They didn't want anything to do with me. I was the weird girl from Manville, and I was like, oof. And I shifted the way I acted. I shifted the way I dressed. And that's one of the reasons why I went back to my public school, because I could not deal with the cliques.
It kind of reminds me of like, and I wrote this down, kind of like, how we are in business, like we have set rules. If you like, you even have that, like, still to this day, like you'll have a clique of people at work that they just hang out with each other because
Mhm.
they're following their own specific rules. Like that still goes on. And I kind of like bring that up because we don't grow out of that. You know what I mean? If you don't fit into a certain kind of type or a club, then you're not accepted, even in your professional life or even in like other like personal worlds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I mean, if you don't fit into that specific mold, you're just exiled and no one wants to deal with you. I'm sure you see it. I see it all the time in what we do. Um, it's very interesting dynamic.
Let's move on to talk about Rachel McAdams. So you say you don't watch much movies, but in your personal opinion, do you think this is the best role she's ever done? Have you ever
Uh,
seen The Notebook? Have you
I
seen Wedding
have
Crashers?
I have seen The Notebook. Love The
Hmm.
Notebook. She did a great
Okay.
job. I'm going to say that's her number one. We'll put Mean Girls at a close number two.
Okay, all right, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. You like her more in like the serious role versus the power trip role in this one?
Yeah, because I feel like when we're talking like talent wise, I feel like it's easier just to walk around and be a mean girl. I mean, I'm sure I would never be able to act. I'm sure she is great, but I feel like The Notebook, it was a little bit more intense and there was more acting required.
So, did you know that both of those movies came out in the same year?
Did they really?
Yeah, I did. I didn't know
I
that, and
had
when
no
I was doing
idea.
research on this, because I guess for myself, I remember seeing The Notebook first for some reason
Hmm.
in high school. I don't know why, and then all of a sudden, I remember seeing Mean Girls maybe like a while later, like on TV or something like
Oh,
that.
see, I was the opposite. I think I saw Mean Girls right when it came out. And it was one of those things where everyone was watching The Notebook. And I'm like, I'm not about the sappy love stories. I don't want to watch this. I'm not interested. And then, like, 10 years later, I was like, I remember exactly where I was sitting the first time I saw The Notebook. And one of my best friends that I've been best friends with since I was in like second grade was like, this is the first time I'm seeing you cry.
Wow.
Like I mean, what year did these come out? I don't even remember, but
2004. They
okay.
both
So
came out in
I
oh 04,
remember
yeah.
watching this like either late high school or early college and just sitting on the couch and my friends looking at me like, I've never seen you cry before in like 20 years of friendship. What's going on here? And yeah, that was one of the first movies that made me cry.
So, let's talk about the movie for a bit now.
Hmm.
First serious question. Did Principal Duval have a crush on Miss Norbury? Yes or no?
I'm going to say yes.
It's giving too many hints,
there's
right?
there's a little bit of tension,
Okay.
and from what you see about her, she seems like she's a little bit of a homebody. But
Right.
there's something secretive going on about her. I think that's what he was interested in.
I see. Would they work out as a couple? What do you think?
Um, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm gonna say yes. Why not?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I could see them rocking it out, right?
She seems a little bit sassy for him, but he's obviously a pushover.
And she's a pusher, right?
She's
Like
a
you said,
pusher. So maybe
she-
sometimes that dynamic works. I
exactly.
feel like
Yes,
he
I
would
agree.
he would allow it to happen.
All right. Next, relationship question. Why is it that Jason and Gretchen keep like this on and off thing? Like, what's that about? What do you think happened there?
I don't know. I feel like that's what high school's about. How many relationships did you have in high school where it was like every other day? It was like, oh my God, he didn't watch my cheerleading practice. Oh my God, he didn't bring me water after football practice. I mean, that's just, I feel like all this stuff that goes on in this movie is just so stereotypical. And that's exactly why they did it.
Right.
every potential stereotype you can have about these high school cliques and high school relationships, and all the students always think these two teachers are getting together and this teacher
Hmm.
likes this
Hmm.
student and blah 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 blah. It's that's exactly what it is. And I think that's what keeps me interested, is where you're like watching it and you're like, duh, of course this happens in high schools.
So did you know that Tina Fey wrote the movie?
I did know that. I love her.
How do you think she really encapsulated what it's like? Because it's true, I agree with you. I think that that's the reason why a lot of us became fans of this movie, because it did portray a lot of the things that we go through when we're in high school.
And that's the thing too. It a little bit normalizes it, because there's so many kids, and that's why I know it sounds silly that I'm like, oh, Mean Girls is this, such a good movie, but it really does. It normalizes this. For think about it. Think about the kid that was the quote unquote loser goth kid, and I'm not saying
Right.
that loser goth kids are losers. I'm sure they're great people. But what it comes down to is, how many times do you think some kid has watched this movie and been like, you know what? Because obviously we'll get to the end of the movie, but
Hmm.
we're
Hmm.
all the same. Just because someone has different interests or dresses a different way, or wears way too much eyeliner, or wears pink shirts, whatever the case may be, we're all the same. We should all be on a level playing field. And I think a lot of kids can relate to this, whether they're the popular ones and they're like, whoa, my clique was really mean. Or, whoa, my clique was, we're cool if we do theater. We're cool if we're this. We're cool if so I think that it's probably interesting seeing different ways that kids grew up and different cliques that they were in watching this movie. I feel like that would be an interesting conversation to have with some people.
So here's a sidebar. Do you have like any nieces or nephews?
Um, I have two nieces that are not blood nieces. They're my best friend's babies.
Okay.
So we'll say yes, I have two.
Would you show them this movie when they turn 15 or 16, or when they get into high school?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it also kind of, not only does it kind of normalize that these cliques happen, but it also makes it look so silly. Which one of my nieces, I would show them this and be like, this, you see how silly this is? You see how silly it is that there's so many different groups of people that all really feel the same way and really have the same views and opinions and can actually be friends with each other. I feel like it would be a good thing for a kid to watch.
Let's talk about the Burn Book for a little bit.
Ooh.
So we get introduced to the Burn Book. Obviously, the girls are all talking about it, right, in the clique.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you feel like this, if you're mentioned in this Burn Book, is it a validation of your coolness because the plastics know you? Why is it that the plastics are just mentioning everybody? Like, what do you think about it?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because it's, even when, we'll go back to when I was in Catholic school and I wanted to be part of the popular world so badly.
Right, right.
Even if it's,
Did they have a Burn Book? Did they have a Burn Book back then?
they probably did.
You were like on page
They're,
one, right?
they're a little bit mean. I tried being friends with them, and
Okay.
for a whole year, I tried really hard, and they didn't want to be friends with me.
Okay.
But I remember, I specifically remember being like, if they give me any attention, it's one of those things where like any sort of publicity is good publicity.
Hmm.
Any sort of attention they gave me, I was like, I would hang on to that and say, they gave me attention. At least they know I exist. So that's why
Okay.
it's like interesting, where obviously them making the Burn Book is them projecting their own issues on other people. But
Hmm.
yeah, I have a feeling that everyone that was in the Burn Book was like, at least I got recognized for this, regardless of, whether it was mean or not. Obviously it was mean, but I feel like a lot of them were just happy to be recognized.
I agree with you. I think that that's why I mentioned it that way, because it's kind of like the way I saw it. If you're even mentioned, they're like, "Oh my god, I was mentioned." Like you just want to be acknowledged as a person,
Yeah,
right?
because honestly,
And that's
if that was
what
my
it's about.
situation, if I didn't get acknowledged at all, I'd be like, wait, so they literally don't know I exist. At least if you get acknowledged, they know you're a person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you. So first major scene. So Katie shows up as a zombie bride or an ex-wife, what she says it.
Oh yeah.
Well, once she would have picked up on the vibe, wouldn't she have just changed immediately to like a slutty bride? What do you think? She couldn't pivot there? Like, what's going on with her?
I mean, at that point, did she know what a slutty like Halloween costume was? You
I
know?
would challenge you that Janice could have gave her the heads up, because if you're going in somewhere, I would have Janice should have told her like, hey, you might want to dress this way, you know.
Yeah, but Janice, I feel, had a little bit of fun also kind of torturing Katie, knowing that she was. I feel like she was genuine and they were friends, but I feel like she played her because intentionally, I feel like she put her into that situation knowing exactly what was going to happen.
That's actually funny you say that, because did you notice what her nickname was for Katie?
What was it?
Caddy.
Oh, yeah.
And like, yeah, and you'll notice that like it's how spiteful she becomes during the movie. Like she was molding her to be spiteful.
Yeah, it went from a genuine friendship to using Katie as a pawn to just
Right.
sabotage because obviously there was some deep hatred that existed like prior to this movie where Janice
Right.
just wanted to completely destroy them and it went from oh this is a friendship to oh she now I'm using you to get into their clique and just
Right.
completely sabotage.
So let's talk about Aaron Samuels for a little bit.
Oh.
Here's one thing I've noticed, and you could talk about this part of high school, right? Why is it that us men try to act smart, and then why is it that some women will try to play dumb? Is it an intimidation thing? What do you feel on that?
I think it's kind of like a damsel in distress kind of thing. If
Oh, okay.
you act like you're not as smart or you act dumb, then a boy's going to pay attention to you and say, "Oh, I can help you." And it goes into that it's not like this as much as it is anymore, but back in the early 2000s when this came out, it was you know, obviously Aaron doesn't know anything about anything, including math, and just made it pretended. He just faked it till he made it. He just pretended like he knew everything. And then Katie just wanted to be the damsel in distress and wanted him to, even though she knew he was an idiot, just wanted him to help her and wanted his attention, which is why she acted like that.
Random question for you.
Uh-oh.
In this day and age, Regina George,
Mm-hmm.
how many followers would she have on Instagram if this was like the real life Regina George?
You know why she would have
50K, 1 million.
You know why she'd have so many? Do you know how on Instagram, I'm sure you do it, how many people do you hate follow just because you want? I mean, maybe you don't, because I guess chicks are a little bit different. There are some people that I follow because, like, oh, this is going to sound so terrible. There are some people I follow because I'm just nosy. I have no interest in them. I'm not jealous of them. They post a little bit too much, or you want someone that just has such an ego, and this is why I feel like she'd have a lot of followers. There'd
Right.
be so many people that would follow her just to watch her fail and just to watch her fall.
Right.
I think that's why she would have a lot of followers because I
Or
hate follow a decent amount of people.
I was gonna say, or you hate follow in the hopes that she mentions you. You're like, yo, this girl
That too.
mentioned.
What if she had this like virtual burn book?
Oh yeah, that's
I
true.
don't know. Another thing too, she's a terrible person. I mean, I love Rachel McAdams, but Regina's not very nice. No, but I feel like people she'd have like, especially now if she had a TikTok. Oh my goodness, her and her mom.
Yo, her mom would take over her TikTok. That's
Oh,
probably
absolutely.
what
It would be one
happened.
of those TikToks where her mom is doing some wild dance move and just completely upstaging her.
Right. What kind of influencer would Regina George be? Hair, for
Ugh.
makeup, something else?
I feel like she'd be one of those influencers that pretends that everything's perfect. You ever like look through Instagram stories or whatever and you're like, you must have spent 19,000 hours cleaning your house. There's no way your house looks like that. You know what I mean? It'd be very fake. And it would probably, I don't know. I mean, I guess you kind of have to be nice. It'd probably be like hair. She does have nice hair.
Okay, all right, I'll
Maybe
take
her
that.
like maybe yoga lattes or something. I don't know.
Yoga Lattes?
Have you ever done yoga lattes?
What is that? What
It's a
is
hybrid of yoga and Pilates. So it's a lot of like meditation and like relaxation with yoga, but it's the like core strengthening of the Pilates part. I took it in college
Sweet.
where I was still pretty popular.
Okay. Okay. All right.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I was not popular. I also, here's the thing though, I went to a teeny tiny college where everyone knew everyone. And again, like I played a sport people like, what colleges do you go to where people can play 2, 3 sports? Not many. It was like a
Right.
teeny tiny school where everyone knows everyone. So it's not even like
Right.
there's not as many levels as there is in some bigger schools.
I agree. Yeah, because in my college, it's like you can only play one sport, and that's it. You have to be dedicated to that.
Yeah,
Like you can't vary because then that'll take time away from it. So
exactly. Like a lot of schools that you go to, it's you on the off season that your life is still dedicated to it. Mind
right.
you, I went to college and the coach was like, "You look like you might be able to play lacrosse," and I was like, "Sure, let's try." I
Wow.
picked up a lacrosse stick for the first time. Literally, never knew it was a sport. So that's how small my school was.
So next pivotal scene in the movie, the
Mm-hmm.
girls do Jingle Bell Rock.
Oh,
Now, is this, in your opinion, high school appropriate? And second question, two-parter here. Would you let your future daughter do this Jingle Bell show?
no and no.
Wow, that's super fast. Nope, nope.
Because every time it comes on, I think about it. That's why I love the movie so much, and that's why I still relate to it so much every day. Because how many kids did you know where their mom was a little bit too cool? Like when I was
Right,
in high
right,
school, I was like, "Oh, mom, you're like I'm such a loser because you won't let me
right.
do this, you won't let me do that." Well, guess what? My mom is my absolute best friend at this point. So I look back and I'm like, now I understand why, because otherwise I would have been like psychotic, like Regina George, where obviously the relationship she had with her mom was a little bit interesting. And her mom like sexualized them, and it was super, super weird.
Right. And the fact that she had let Regina basically take over their bedroom. Remember,
Hmm.
that was like one of the big things that I noticed
Yeah.
in the movie, that Regina was like, "Yeah, this is my bedroom now." Like, I don't think parents should do things like that.
Oh
Like,
no.
yeah, there's little things you can let them go get away with, but like something like that is like to let them have their own bedroom. Like
Mhm.
that's like a power.
Yeah.
It's a power move on so many dynamics, and it kind of goes to show you like what kind of person Regina George was,
Oh,
you
a
know?
1000%. I mean, she can manipulate anybody. She manipulated her own mother. She manipulated her friends, people in different cliques. Like, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, she didn't really give her mom a choice, and then they sing Jingle Bell Rock and nothing. And the best part is that they do the same routine every year. Like, at what point?
Right.
But the thing is that they're so cool and they're so popular. Everyone's like, "Oh, yay, Jingle Bell Rock for the ninth year in a row."
Exactly. And I want to give a shout out to my boy Kevin G for his performance, how they booed him off the stage real quick. So just shout out to him.
I mean, are you a fan of his?
I'm a huge fan of his. I think he was one of the best characters I saw in the movie.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
That's where one of my favorite quotes comes from.
Oh, you know what? Jump in. Let's do it. What's your favorite quote in the movie?
The limit does not exist. It's my absolute favorite. You know,
Wow.
it makes so much sense in like day to day life where my friends will be like, "Oh, how many dogs is too many dogs?" And I'm like, "The limit does not exist.
Wow.
How many Doritos is too many Doritos?
Uh-oh.
The limit does not exist." Very appropriate.
I like that quote. You could use it for anything, man. That's
Mhm.
really true.
Yeah.
I wrote down people who do evil stuff and people who see evil stuff being done and don't try and stop it, which is what Janice was saying.
Hmm.
And the reason I like this quote so much is because,
Yours is a little bit deeper than mine.
well, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I went all boring and deep.
That's all right. Let's talk about it.
I was just gonna say, like, it. I think it kind of shows, kind of to like one of my big points that I want to make is like who really is the worst evil in
Hmm.
this whole movie? Is it Regina? Is it Katie? Is it Janice?
Yeah.
Because she said it herself, Janice, like about there's people who do it and then there's people who watch it be done and don't stop it. But I'm like, bro, like, why don't you stop it? That to me takes a bigger person and somebody who's actually willing to do some good, that has the courage enough to stop those things
Hmm.
and not let things happen and not let the world burn, like you to use a Joker quote.
Yeah.
Get off topic.
I mean, I'm sure you've heard the term change agent before.
Yes, I have.
And that's exactly it. I mean, you are just as guilty if you watch it happen and you don't do anything about it. But I
Exactly.
mean, it's one of those things too where a lot of times when something like that happens, someone doesn't say something because there's going to be a negative effect. whether it's I become less popular or I lose
Mm-hmm.
friends or
Mm-hmm.
I get in trouble or whatever the case may be. So acting on that, there's definitely a negative effect to that, and that's why a lot of people don't do it.
And so to transition into that and kind of to like continue my point, so back to the movie. So Katie gets nominated for Spring Fling Queen, right?
Spring Fling
And-
Queen.
There you go. And then that's in the point in the movie where I feel like she goes full evil, right?
Hmm.
Whose fault really is it? Was it Janice pushing her? Or was it herself, like just like feeding in on the power?
I feel like it's a combination of the two because look at it this way: Janice is one side of the spectrum.
Right.
She's unpopular. No one wants to be friends with her. Her only friend's Damien. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have Regina, who she's friends with, and at this point is actually has somewhat of a friendship with. I feel like Katie was very much used as the pawn in this situation.
Hmm.
So I'm blaming Janice. Janice was having a ball during this entire thing. She was like,
But
Regina's paying me a little bit of attention. I'm
right.
sabotaging the plastics. Katie thinks we're best friends. I'm using her as a pawn to sabotage the plastics. I think Janice was a little bit mean.
So then and then that's the thing. But then in the movie, she goes full tilt on Katie when she sees her at the party, and you're like, all right, like, wait, you made me this way.
Yeah,
You're the what is it, the Dr. Frankenstein and I'm the monster, right?
exactly.
Like if you created this, why are you mad?
Yeah, like
I
I remember that the
you
one scene, I forget what it was, where Katie says something like in her little plastic voice and
know. Go ahead, go ahead.
and Janice was like, literally at that moment it clicked and she was like, oh, this went a little bit too far. Like I thought I was still going to keep Katie as a friend and still use her to sabotage, but then this, you can tell that exact moment it
Yeah.
transitioned over to, oh, she's a plastic. Like I went a little bit too hard on this and I
Right,
just lost
right,
my friend.
right. This is when they're at the store when they're
Yes.
just
Mm-hmm.
talking. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. And she's talking about herself a lot. So then we're gonna tap into your evil side, right?
Uh-oh.
So so they sabotage Regina, right?
Mm-hmm.
Katie becomes the queen bee. Did you agree with their master plan? Getting rid of the boyfriend, the friends. Would you have done it a different way to like become the queen bee?
uh You know what? I look at the ending where Katie like still has a good heart, rips her crown into pieces, and feels bad for Regina George and her cute little neck brace.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm gonna say I support it because it all worked out in the end.
Okay, but let's pretend no, though. This is you. We're
Uh,
talking like alternate universe.
oh no.
You're trying to take over. You're back in your Catholic school days. Like, what would your plan be to take down?
Oof.
Let's do it.
I'd probably do the same thing. I probably would do the same thing. You know what the mistake? The mistake I made was I walked into school on the first day with Tim's. That was my problem.
We're still holding on to the Tim.
next time around, I'm gonna fake it a little bit more.
Got you. Okay, okay. Next go around.
But you know what, too? Think about when you're in high school
Yeah.
and you are. I mean, I don't. You said you were like popular and you played baseball. I'm sure that's
Well,
true.
no. I didn't say I was that popular.
Because honestly, I know some kids that played baseball in high school and they were not cool at all.
No, well, that's the thing. I wouldn't say I was the in like the popular crew because
Mhm.
in my high school, the basketball team was the more popular guys. Baseball team was like second tier, I would say. So we were like second tier. If I had to label us, we were second tier. Like we knew a lot of people, but it wasn't like the basketball team, you
Was it
know.
because
So
like
I would.
you weren't tall enough to play basketball, so you kind of played baseball?
It was because it was more of a basketball
I'm
high
just kidding.
school. But no, I know, I get it. I just was like, hey, baseball's my thing. I'm gonna stick with this crew.
Yeah, and you know what? It's interesting having this conversation as an adult because in my mind, I'm like, of course I would do the right thing. Of course I would make all the right
Hmm.
decisions because you see it from afar. But in high school, think about how like I said, if I never went to this Catholic school for that 1 year, at one point in time I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, I was such a loser. I was more of a loser looking back at it, thinking how desperate I was for attention. Right.
Right.
So when she's not only is she desperate for attention, but then she's also stuck between these two opposite, complete polar opposite people. Where
Right.
you have Jan, like it was just all so manipulative, and but she still wanted it so bad. She
Right.
still wanted to be popular. It was still, to her, it was a complete slam dunk if she just like destroyed Regina George. A little bit spiteful.
I was going to say that, and to bring it back at the beginning, I think it's exactly what we see, that the fact that this girl just walks in, she gets invited to one crew. Okay, cool, I'm accepted. Then another crew is like they're playing tug of war for her, so it's like
Mm-hmm.
that, like you want that acceptance. So it's just true, like what you were saying. It's that's what all you want. You want that acceptance. You
Mm-hmm.
just have to pick what crew you feel most comfortable with.
Yeah,
I
but think about
guess.
it. In high school, think about all the kids that came in that like didn't grow up there, and new kids.
Right.
The second you walk in, someone in some clique grabs you and tries to be friends with you. So it's one of those things where it's like it really all depends on, it's like first come first serve. Who has dibs, right?
It's
It's
like
one of
a
those things.
buffet.
Think about it. No, it is. It's like
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
remember there. Oh God, this girl. She was from like Kentucky or something, and she comes in and she's like
In Jersey.
sweet and she's like nice, and I'm like, you know what? I'm grabbing her under my wing. She's going to be my friend.
All right, Janice, I
Evil.
see you.
She's evil. She was evil. She is still evil, and she and I are not friends.
Wow.
But it was one of those things where you just, that's how people become friends. Like I have two of my very best friends. It's myself and three other friends from high school. One of them came in third grade, and one of them came in seventh grade, and we just like swooped her up, and she was our friend, and she's our forever friend. What if someone got to her first? Maybe I wouldn't have her.
That's what you got to call dibs.
Yeah, that's what we did. We were like, I was like, I like you and your cute little necklace.
Hey, is that a subliminal?
No, I hope she's probably going to listen to this at some point. Her name is Amanda as well, and
Well,
she wore
Amanda
one
and
of
Amanda,
those
yes.
what are those like metal ball necklaces that we used, like punk rock kids used to wear.
Okay.
This is making me
I don't
sound old,
remember what you're talking about, but okay.
but they were these like little metal ball chain necklaces, and I was like, I want to be her friend. She has cool necklaces, and now we're best friends.
I like it.
Hmm.
The story of Amanda.
And oh, there's another Amanda. 3 out of 4 of us are Amanda.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. That's too many Amandas.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Maybe we should invite all the Amandas onto another podcast in the
Oh,
future.
we do call ourselves. You ever watch Recess, where they have the Ashleys?
I've seen it, but I really don't remember it.
Yeah, they have like
I'm curious.
this, like, again, it's a very much of a Mean Girls thing. It's these perfect, prim, proper, but also nasty girls, and they're all called the Ashleys. And we call ourselves the Amandas.
I respect it.
So I guess we're Mean Girls in our own sense.
I see. What is your favorite scene?
Um, I think my favorite scene is when they're all in the gym, and
Okay.
what's her name, Miss Norberry, Norberry,
Miss Norberry,
where
yes.
she's
Yeah,
like,
go ahead.
if you've ever been personally victimized by Regina George, and everyone like looks around, and then who is it that like free falls off the stage, and they think everyone's going to catch them, and they just like fall and basically break their back?
Oh,
Is it is it
it
Gretchen?
yeah, yeah. On top of
Where she like free falls and like on top of everyone that's standing in front of the stage, where they all go up and like admit their stuff, like, and then Janice is like said something about Regina. It's because I have a big lesbian crush on you, and just screams and jumps off the stage, and everyone catches her, and she crowd surfs.
no, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Janice crowd surfs and everybody loves it. Gretchen was like not apologizing at all. Like I don't have to apologize for being me, and like she just fell on top of
Yeah, and
Karen. There you go, Karen. That's what it was.
yes. And that is probably my favorite scene.
Oh my god, that's classic.
What is your favorite scene?
Well, actually, before we even talk about my favorite scene, because it kind of go back into the movie, I wanted to ask. Now that we're touching on that part, when the teacher was talking to them, Mrs. Norberry, and most of the girls, ended asking each other for forgiveness and whatnot. Why do you think that scene was so important? Now that you touched on it, like, is forgiveness something that wronged you as easy as how the movie was portrayed? Like, why do you think they included that?
I don't know. I feel like that's where you figure out who's like a good person and a bad person. Like if like Gretchen, she really thought that she didn't do anything wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, she did,
it's
legit.
she was just so blind to the fact that they were not nice, that they were manipulative, all that stuff. So I don't know. The forgiveness part's a little bit weird.
And it's true you say that about Gretchen because she was the first one who Katie manipulated into believing Regina George was like the meanest one, right?
Hmm.
And basically turned her. So she goes on her rant about Brutus and Caesar, and she acknowledges that, like, hey, like I feel some kind of way, but she never had that self acknowledgement about what she's done wrong to everybody else. And that's a very telling thing also in the movie.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing too. It's interesting at the end where everyone finds their own new clique, and you're like you look at them and you're like, yeah, it's obvious that it's not necessarily a reflection of how good or bad of a person you are. It's more of a reflection of how manipulated you allowed yourself to be, and
Right.
that's I feel like that's a huge thing about high school is doesn't necessarily just because someone's popular and they're mean doesn't mean they're a bad person. It means that they were somehow manipulated into some mold of what they were supposed to act like.
And it goes to show you because she started running her own clique at the end.
Hmm.
So there you go. My favorite scene is when Katie gets nominated for Spring Fling. And the reason I mention that is because you kind of see, I guess this is where like good acting comes into play, where you see the subtle change in her face, like, oh wow, like they have like the whole school has acknowledged me,
Hmm.
and that's like kind of like the click, like it clicked in her head, like whoa, like I've gained all this power.
Hmm.
Now what am I gonna use it for? You know what I mean? Once you get that nomination, then you take off, and that to me, it's like the same thing in politics. Like, yo, you get a nomination, like, whoa, okay, now, like you're somebody serious.
Yeah, but at the
So,
same time, too, I feel like the reason that she ended up winning was because she was playing both sides. The
right,
plastics hated her because she got nominated. They were like, no way, it
yeah,
should have been
yeah,
me. But then on the other side of it, everyone was like, you know what? She's new. She's running stuff with the plastics. Like she deserves to be voted for. Like obviously, it's the lesser of two evils,
right,
right? Do we vote for Katie, who seems like a decent human, or do we vote for Regina, who is a little bit of a psycho?
right. Who keeps on winning, and now we got this new girl. We might as well vote for her too.
Exactly.
Who do you think? Very important question.
Oh
Who
no.
do you think is the smartest? No, it's fine. Who do you think is the smartest plastic? Was it Regina or Katie when she was on top?
Oof.
Because they were pitted against each other, right? So
I'm gonna say Regina. What do you
interesting.
say before I explain my side?
I was gonna say Katie because of how she played everyone,
Hmm.
and I will mention this because this is something to go back to like my junior high school days about like the three-way calling.
Oh my god.
I, I was gonna say like that was something that was so popular when I was in junior high. Like
Yeah.
I'm dating myself here, but I would have friends call you secretly on a three-way call so somebody else can listen in and get your opinion on something to see if like you're betraying them or like what's really going on. And I've even had like a boy of mine call me later and say, hey man, yeah, the girl was on the three-way line, like she was just trying to get some information about you. And I'm like, whoa, like it's like this.
Yeah. I remember I'd be like that with my friends. I'd be like, guys, do you think he likes me?
Right,
Had that
right,
conversation.
right.
I would never in a million years let my friends be on a three-way phone call with me with like a guy that I liked. Never in a
So
million years.
so so but yeah, but that's the thing. Back then, you didn't know that somebody else was on, right? So here's where I would give it to Katie because Regina was the master at this, getting you to admit something on a three-way call and attacked you. And then the fact that Katie turned it around on her, and that was like one of the biggest obstacles she had.
Hmm.
The fact that like she three-way attacked her, used her same strategy against her, and got her to admit something that pretty much caused dissension amongst the ranks.
Yeah.
Pretty much hit Karen, because she called her the sluttiest and pretty much knocked out Gretchen because she just caused that insecurity in Gretchen. So in 1-3 call, she pretty much got done everything she needed to get done. And I feel like that was the smartest move for me.
I think it takes a really smart person to manipulate people successfully. And that's why I'm saying that Regina was better at that, because she manipulated. She was just very mousy. She manipulated her mother. She manipulated her entire all the plastics. She manipulated Katie. It takes a smart and dedicated person to put that much effort into completely manipulating all of those people.
That's true. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
She was definitely a weasel. But I still, again, I love Rachel McAdams.
Oh no, me too, without a doubt. Like I gotta say that. Like we gotta like pause and like remind everyone.
What if this becomes like popular? This podcast becomes popular, and then Regina or Rachel
McAdams comes after us.
Rachel McAdams listens to this and is like, "Oh my god, they said I was mean." No, Rachel McAdams, sweetheart. Regina,
All right. Next big important question for you. You ready for this one?
I guess so.
All right. Which plastic are you? You have 3 Amandas. So out of the 3 Amandas, and you have to be honest, you have to answer honestly. Are you
tough.
The Regina, the Karen, Gretchen, or are you something else?
I wish this was like a Cosmo quiz where I could, like, you have 7 A's, you're this.
Yeah.
You're mostly B's, this is who you are. I don't know. I'm going to go with Karen.
Oh, why? Why would you say that? Why would you say that? Mind you, the Amandas are listening. They're listening to
They're
this.
not listening. They're not going to listen to that.
I'm sorry. I promise you, I got their emails. I'm forwarding them the show.
You know what? There's 4 plastics. There's 4 of us.
Okay, go ahead.
You know what? Maybe I would be Katie, because going back to my freshman year in high school.
Okay.
The want and the need to fit in, I honestly probably would have done anything at that point. And being a freshman in high school, you have to think back to, like, they're in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I can't even take care of a fish, and I'm 31. Literally killed my neighbor's fish a few days ago.
But you're taking care of 2 dogs, so I got to give you a shout out.
I did buy myself some fish, and they're thriving, by the way.
Okay. All right.
No, but back when you're in high school, you were just so you just want to fit in so bad. And that's why a lot of kids have problems today too, is because you have 2 options. You either fit in or you don't. Mm-hmm. And I think I would have been Katie, especially, like I said, going back to that. I was so used to fitting in Africa. I know going from Manville, New Jersey, 7 minutes away to a Catholic high school is not the same as moving from Africa to the United States.
Yeah.
But that you not understanding the concept and just wanting to fit in. And if you're told these people are the popular people, I didn't go towards these people because they were prettier or they were nicer or we liked the same things. I went towards these people because I was like, I was popular then. I'm going to be popular now. So maybe I'd be Katie. But also, I also think about, so Karen in real life is Amanda Seyfried. And
right.
I follow her dog on Instagram.
What dog does she have?
I think it's like a cattle, like an Australian Shepherd, maybe. He has his own Instagram. I think his name's Mingy or something like that. You have to follow them on Instagram. So I just love her as a person. So that's why I went towards her. But no, we'll go Katie. What about you?
Me? Whoa, me. I don't even. I'm Aaron Samuels, man. I'm dumb as a rock. Play on the team.
Yeah, but Aaron Samuel gets all the chicks.
Oh, yeah, but well, I was gonna say though, the same way Katie was brought into a manipulation game, I feel like Aaron Samuels was the same thing. He was brought into all the manipulation games, you know. Like I don't think that he necessarily was getting all the girls. I think he was just part of a manipulation, if you ask me.
And think about it, as an adult, your standards for who's a good person and who's a bad person, who's going to be my friend, who's not, your standards really shift the older you get. Aaron Samuels, dumb as rocks, not even that good looking, if I'm going to
Okay.
be honest.
Hot take.
No, I mean, he's not like beautiful, good looking guy, but you know what I'm saying? Like, so in high school, it's weird that I was talking to some of my girlfriends the other day about all these crushes I had in sixth grade. And I'm like, what did I see in these guys other than the fact that they were popular? They were a couple years older than me. They were in the popular crowd. So I was like, oh, I'm going to like this weird man
Right.
that wears like weird Adidas shorts with like mismatched Adidas shirts. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's weird that these people just everything kind of forms into their own cliques. There's people
Mm-hmm.
that I know in high school that were really cool or really this or really that. I think that people like I've been friends. I'm better friends with people that I know today that I'm good friends with that were not the coolest person in high school, that didn't play sports. But as you get older, you start realizing, okay, there's more depth to this. There's a good person and a bad person. Just because you're popular doesn't mean you're a good person.
That's true.
You can be popular and be obviously a terrible person, according to Mean Girls.
Right. I usually ask my guest, what would you change about the movie? And I'm assuming maybe if you hear out this trivia, James Franco was considered to be Aaron Samuels. What would you think about that recasting?
No.
Really?
The reason why I say that is because, and this is just my opinion, we all have opinions, right?
Of course. No, go ahead, girl.
I think, again, this goes back to they portrayed this exactly what high school looks like. James Franco, I think, is very good looking, but like too stereotypically good looking where you're like, obviously he's going to be popular. Aaron Samuels, not very smart, not the best looking guy. I feel like it kind of played on the stuff like we were talking about, like when I was in sixth grade and I loved all the ninth graders. They weren't good looking. I look at them now and I'm like, what in the world was I thinking? But I think that a little bit played on it. And I don't know. What do you think?
I was gonna say I agree with you. If I had to think about it really, I would probably like if this was my fictional Mean Girls movie, I would recast Aaron Samuels as a Joshua Jackson, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Like, exactly, right?
Yeah,
We're talking like what we're looking for is someone who can be popular but not necessarily have the look. And also James Franco has done like a high school movie too where he was like one of the popular guys too. Like, not sure if you've seen it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so exactly. So you're right. Like that one is more of like, yeah, this dude's popular, but a Joshua Jackson could probably play it like that. Like, yeah, I'm kind of a little slow, but I'm in the popular crew because they
I'm a little
adopted
slow.
I don't mean it that way, but you know what I mean.
No, I get it.
So you ready for some random questions? That's it. No more hard questions, I promise.
Oh, those were the hard ones. How did I do? This is my first time on a podcast. I was a little stressed out. So if those are the hard ones, then I'm good.
Here's some random ones that I thought about while watching the movie.
Oh no.
Would you date somebody who's vomited on you? Katie vomits on Aaron Samuels. Would you date him?
As an adult, yes.
Whoa. Okay, as a high schooler.
As a high schooler, no. Okay. You know what I would do as a high schooler, because I'm apparently a mean girl? I would tell everybody, he vomited on me. I'm never going to date him again. Everybody make fun of him.
Put it in the burn book.
Put it in the burn book. He pukes. It's gross. XOXO. That's what I would have done in high school. As an adult, I'm like, now I get it. It happens.
Yeah, I got you.
What about you? What? Would you?
Whoa.
Oh.
That's a tough one. I don't know. I think I would be too weirded out. I would. Like, I'm very sensitive when like when it comes to smells. And if like I'm already no, seriously, like I am like that's how I am. If I smell something weird, I'm like, nope, not doing it. And if you would have threw up, I'm like, I'm not doing it. Sorry. Like I can't. I just wouldn't see the girl the same. Like
Yeah,
obviously now we're more mature adults, right? Allegedly. But like if
yeah.
I had to think about it back then, I know for a fact I was like super sensitive like that.
And that's what is the difference between you and I is that I would turn into a mean girl thing and be like, he puked on me. Everyone hates him. And you'd be like, I just don't like smells.
Yeah, I just don't like smells. That's it. Pretty simple. All right, here's another random one. Katie, would she have gotten suspended in real life for blaming her teacher for selling drugs? Like, what's up with that?
Oh.
Like,
Um,
it's got a pass.
I'm gonna say no because obviously she did it because she's mean and she wanted to start a rumor. There's always so many rumors going around. It's, oh, this teacher does this teacher does
Mm-hmm.
that. You have all these like you put these teachers on pedestals like they're not allowed to like do anything. I remember we'd be
That's
like,
true.
oh yeah, I saw this teacher. My mom saw so and so at the bar. Yeah, she's allowed to go to the bar. She's fucking
She's a human being.
yeah, it's all those crazy things. Like as a kid, you think it's cool to say that stuff. Like at that point, she thought it was like a cool thing to do. So I
Right.
don't. Ugh, I mean, it's a little bit aggressive, but at the same time, you shouldn't be a teacher that does drugs because there must be some sort of like, is there like a drug testing thing with teachers? I don't know if there is or not.
Yeah, they get drug tested. Yeah, they
Yeah,
get
I
drug
mean,
tested.
so, and Miss Starberry was the best teacher they had.
Yeah,
She was
she
so
was. She was
cool.
phenomenal.
I don't know if
Yeah, she was.
and sometimes now that I look at it, I'm like, okay, do I like her because I like her, or do I like her because she's Tina Fey and I love Tina
Yeah,
Fey?
I think we all can agree that we like her because it's Tina Fey.
But I think that's part of why they did it.
Yeah.
Another thing too, we're not in the producers' minds where we're like, okay, this is who I see with this is who I see with that.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
obviously they saw where everything played out, and obviously it played out very well.
Here's another random one that I thought about, and not sure you picked up on this. At the beginning of the movie, Janice suggests that they just steal the burn book and publish it. Why? I would have just done that. Like in an alternate universe, like, yo, you steal it, you publish it, and then now you leave the plastics with no ammunition, like how Regina turned it over at the end. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think about that? Like, why didn't like they just go through with that plan?
Well, there's a couple sides to that because if they did that, I feel like the movie would have ended at some
Well,
point.
no, I know that.
There wouldn't be like an hour and a half worth of Mean Girls if that happened.
That's
No,
true.
but then again, you have to look at it from Janice's point of view. If she did that, that would turn into you're jealous of them, you want to be them, or you're calling them out on their stuff.
Right.
It was more fun to her, again, because she manipulated Katie. It was more fun to her to like play that game of chess
Mm-hmm.
instead
Mm-hmm.
of, yeah, you publish the burn book, it's over. But she had more fun playing the game,
Right.
having Katie come back and report. You see in the movie physically, she gets like excited when she gets
She gets
she
off
gets
on it.
like
Yeah.
visibly excited
Yeah.
and loves the gossip. And then again,
Right.
going back to the part where when they're in the store and Katie says whatever she says, and Janice realizes that she's like officially a plastic at this point, and she gets like super bummed because she also knows, okay, I lost a friend, but I also am losing like my news source.
Right. Do you think Katie deserved to win prom queen? Or I'm sorry, spring fling queen?
Spring Fling Queen. I think so. I think so because she is new, and at that point, again, we're looking to at the end where she like recognizes everyone that played a part in her entire situation.
Right.
I say 1,000%. Think about it this way: how would it have ended if Janice won? If Regina won? Think about the speeches that would have happened at that point.
Well, well, number one, the principal did say no speech.
Yeah, and then
That's
he's like
number
trying
one.
to get her off the stage. She's like, "I'm not done yet." No, he didn't say no speech. He said, I didn't say you had to give a speech or something like that."
Yeah. But if it was up to me, to be brutally honest, I
Mhm.
would have had Janice win, and changed it all up, kind of like to show that all the student body kind of like got into the like the rebel side, and we're like, you know what, screw this, screw the other two girls who were manipulating us, because it's true.
Yeah.
By that time, Regina was seen to have manipulated everybody, and then obviously Katie took over.
Yeah.
So, all right, you know what? Then let's pivot from that and make Janice the head of this, and like boom. All right, now we can switch it up at the end. And you know what? Honestly, I still would have made Janice and Katie like squash the whole beef,
Yeah.
whatever.
But here's my beef with that is Janice was still on that opposite end of the spectrum where she still, think about her speech. She still would have like trashed all the plastics, maybe trashed Katie. She was still on that opposite end where I feel like it wouldn't have been as open and honest. Katie experienced in an hour plus movie experience all of high school.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
right.
am I smart? Am I dumb? Am I popular? Am I not? Am I pretty? Am I ugly? Like, she literally went like that rainbow of everything high school. She experienced all of it. So at that point, as like at like a maturity level, she definitely deserves that, because obviously Janice has some hatred towards the plastics. If she would have got that, she would have been like, the plastics are terrible. This is why I won. This is why everyone sucks. And if the plastics won, they would have been like, we're the plastics. We're great. This is why everyone's awful and ugly. But Katie winning, it was like a nice like neutralization of the entire situation.
So you liked it. You liked the way it ended like that.
Loved it.
Okay. All right. Random question. Did you ever watch the Broadway of Mean Girls?
No, I didn't. So I had a ticket, and then it got canceled because of the pandemic.
Oh, man, I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Have you seen it?
No, I thought about it, but I didn't. I just passed. I don't know. I personally like just enjoy the movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I like this. I'm a big fan of Broadway. Don't get me wrong. I've seen a lot of them, but I was like, maybe I'll just pass on this. I don't know.
That's the thing too. It's not a musical. So like turning it into something on stage, and like, I feel like I like the movie for the movie. You know, like it's the same thing. Like people read the book and they're like, I don't even want to watch the movie. I feel like the movie's going to be worse. The movie's not going to be great. Or people that, whatever the case may be, I'm kind of glad I didn't see it, because I feel like the movie is just where it's at.
Iconic, yeah. That's true. You keep that in your mind, and that's it.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. When you have this expectation, you no matter who you are, you go into it and you're like, oh, it's Broadway, but it's going to be relatively the same. It's not. It's not going to be the same. And my show got canceled, so maybe it was a sign.
It's fine. So you've played sports. You know what an MVP is, right?
Yeah. Me.
Okay, so I named besides you taking care of all the living things in your house, I named my MVP award on this podcast the Arturo Fuentes MVP award for Dominican Cigars. Who is your MVP for this whole movie? You only get to pick one. Who did the best job? What character would you pick?
We're going with Norberry.
Oh, yeah?
All day.
Really? Why is that?
The way she handled the situation, where she was like, yeah, you think I go home and like sell drugs and all that stuff? And then she pulled Katie to the mathletes because she knew what her potential was. I've had teachers that were like, stop playing dumb. Like, stop playing dumb so you can be cool. Dumb is not cool. You're smarter than this. I've had teachers pull me and be like, you're putting in for AP classes. You're going to this college. You're doing this. You're doing that. I didn't think I could do it. And that's why I like her.
I respect that. That's true. I've also had the same. I've had a lot of teachers, push you to your true potential, and it takes a very special teacher to do that and take their time. Not all teachers do that. And I do want to give a shout out to teachers that actually do that and care about their kids.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's and I have friends that are teachers, and how underfunded they are. Not to go on a soapbox at this point, but they're so underfunded. They're so underappreciated. They're not teachers. They're not just educators. They are babysitting your kids for hours a day, teaching them. These kids that are in school right now, when we're in our 80s, these kids are going to be running our country.
Right.
We need
Exactly.
to invest a little bit more into them and the teachers and all of this, that so that we're okay when we get older. It's being a teacher is not easy.
I agree with you. You ready for mine?
I'm ready.
Kevin G, the man.
Why are you obsessed with him?
Let me tell you why. He only dates women of color.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the only character who's true to himself. He's never changed for anyone. He's never like
Yep.
manipulated in the whole movie, and he never tries to impress anyone. He is who he is, and I feel like he's the character that shows. That's the one constant in the movie that shows his true self, and like kind of shows you like, hey, like I'm gonna be myself. I'm not gonna get brought into any of these cliques or like swayed from my thinking, regardless of how he's challenged. He's like, just like, this is how I am. You either accept it or don't. And I respect that so much, from anybody. Like, even when I, like, from thinking about back in high school, like, if you see somebody who's an individual
Mm-hmm.
and just, hey, like, I'm going to be myself no matter what I get called or said about myself,
Mm-hmm.
I respect that 100%. And I really have to give it up to him for that. I
No,
know he's not,
I totally get that. I
yeah,
mean, like I said, the small school that I went to, we were able to like, yeah, there were some cliques that this person. I remember specifically, we loved the band. We loved the band. Manville High School marching band. We were obsessed with them, and we would make signs for all the football players. But you know what we do? We would also make signs like big banners for the drum line because
right,
they were super cool and like there's and again, as we get older, you realize like that quirkiness that he had, you're
right,
like, I would want to be friends with him. Looking at it now, you're like, I would be
yeah,
friends with that guy. Right?
right,
Like Miss Norbury, I'd be friends with her. I would
yeah,
not be friends with Regina. I would not be friends with any of them.
right,
I'd be friends with them. They're you can tell that they're like quality people with like again, he doesn't care. He was authentic through and through.
exactly, exactly.
Very authentic.
Thank you, Amanda, for taking the time. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
That's it. We'll catch you guys on the next one. This has been A View to Film.